Okay. This is an open meeting, but it is a speaker meeting tonight. I've had the privilege of knowing the speaker that's here tonight for 32.4 years. And I met him in these rooms. I will tell you that because he works the program, and it's this program, I have never once worried that our relationship, our family was going to go off the rails, even when the universe had other plans. When the unimaginable happened with our second daughter, he would come home from a 13 to 15-hour day, depending, and take care of me so that I could get a little bit of a break. And he did that for years. When we finally got a nurse and were able to start taking trips again and going out of the house again like human beings do as a couple, I wasn't sure how we were going to be able to manage all those things, and I never once had to worry about that either. I've been fortunate to be married to my best friend, coming up on 30 years, and that is a direct result of all the gifts that this program has given me. And it is my privilege to introduce my husband, Scott, who is a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'll let him tell you the rest.
Scott Alcoholic. I don't know how you follow that up, but Mary Grace, thank you. I truly think that should be like that every time we have a meeting. Yeah. We pull in Mary Grace to read how it works. Yeah. All right, so little housekeeping. My name is Scott. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is June 21st, 1995. That means I'm 30 years, 4 months, and 10 days sober. I'm not saying that to impress you because it impresses me. I have no idea how it happened. All I know is one day at a time, I didn't pick up a drink, and they stacked together, and here I am, standing in front of you. For those of you that know me, I'm not a talker, so this might go quick. I don't do well on the stage, so we'll try this. That being said, I got sober I came into the rooms when I was 25. I got sober when I was 27. Do the math. So I didn't have a long drinking career. I did all the things that you could do with that short career. I made all the mistakes that were possible. But I'll back up just for a second. I'm not going to go into a drunk-a-log and tell you a lot about how it used to be. I came from a normal family. My parents were married for almost 67 years when my dad passed. One brother, 3 sisters. 2 of them earned the right to be in the room. 1 of them made it. The one that made it introduced me somewhat to the room. She didn't bring me to my first meeting, but she certainly showed me what full-blown alcoholism was. I had no idea that, partying was so much fun. I'm standing in front of you to tell you I had a great time. I had a great time drinking. I had a lot of fun. Drinking worked for me. It made me a better dancer. I could talk to women easier. I got along with people. I fit in. It was great to be part of the party. Because I wasn't part of the party. I was the guy. I graduated high school. I graduated college. I was not that guy. Even in college, I didn't drink a whole lot. But when I found alcohol, and I found that I could do this, and I was good at it. I don't know about you guys, but I was really good at drinking. And it made me who I was for a short period of time. I said, this is it. How did I not find this at an earlier age? Well, I abused those privileges. Seriously abused those privileges. And I lost myself. When I say the party was great and alcohol worked for me until it didn't. I don't know when it turned, I just know it turned. When you're working and drinking and you're looking forward to Friday nights to go out and get hammered and have a good time, And then Friday becomes Thursday. And then Thursday is like, well, it's Wednesday. It's ladies' night somewhere. All of a sudden, alcohol isn't working for me. I'm working for it. I'm trying to just get through the day so I can have another drink. I didn't realize that had happened. I crossed that imaginary line where all of a sudden it went from a want to a need, and it stopped working. Now it was taking stuff from me that I didn't see. It was taking away any type of getting along with people. I'm at the bar and they're asking me to leave. My friends are having a party, and I show up and I can see the disappointment on their face. They say, Scott, you take it too far. Don't come back. My parents had God, I remember it well. My parents had a Christmas party. And my 3 siblings, because one of them wasn't in town at the moment, and their boyfriend or fiancés or husbands showed up, and I wasn't invited. I was devastated. I said to my mom, once I found out, I heard about this great time. How come nobody told me about it? And she was smart enough to say, we love you, but you're no fun to be around. I get that. I get that feeling of being ostracized, like I don't fit in anymore. What happened? I was accepted, and now I'm not. And now what? I drink at it. Isn't that what we do? That's what I did. Screw y'all, go get drunk. So all of a sudden, all this stuff that made Scott, fun to be around, great to hang out with, nice to party. I made good money, so I bought a lot of drinks. They didn't care about that no more. They started telling me after work they were going to this bar and they weren't there. I'd show up and they were gone. I said, what happened? But it's me. At work, we're having fun. But we weren't. I thought we were. So I kind of lost myself. So I had the typical troubles. I'm originally from Portland, Maine. I ran into the stuff that we get into, and I won't go through all that. I had my legal problems and all this other stuff. And I'm proud to tell you I never got a DUI, but I should have, many times. I'm proud to tell you that I never got arrested, drunk, but I should have, many times. As my friend Bob says, I became a chemical engineer. So if there was something that was there that could take me out of here, because this place up here just runs, could quiet the noises and the voices in my head and the shame and the guilt of feeling less than of the stuff that I had done, I was doing it. I was a garbage pit. I walk into somewhere and put out my hand, you put it in my hand, and I put it in my mouth. And then 3 minutes later said, what was that? I always chased it with a beer or something else. Alcohol was great when it wasn't. So I left Portland, Maine with the advice from a judge, and I ended up in Marco Island, Florida. Nothing happens in Marco Island, Florida. It's a little island. If you've ever been to Marco Island, Florida, it's a great drinking town. I said, I'm going to change my life. And I got this job as a bartender. Hey, this is great. I can meet women. I can get free drinks. The bartending job didn't last too long. I'm here to tell you that, I'd pour one for you and one for me. Whether you're buying me one or not, one for me. I was quickly, it's a long story, so I won't get into it, but I was groped by the male owner of the bar, and as I went to punch him, they grabbed me, and I said, I'm not going to put up with this, and they said, you're fired anyway. Of course, I was drunk. I don't know if he touched me. I feel like he did. In my mind, he did. But I'm not sure, the truth sometimes, right? I feel like it happened. You put me on the witness stand, I'm saying it happened. But life started to fall apart, even down in Florida. I came down here to get away from Scott and get away from all these problems, and here I am creating more. I had some family down there that introduced me to this wonderful lady on a blind date, and she didn't show up. But I met this other lady at a bar, and I was drinking four fingers of Absolute vodka with a little bit of Midori just to take the color off. And I said to the girl that I'm here with now, I said, would you like a drink? She said, I'll take a beer. She gets a beer. Waitress comes by, another Absolute. Drinking the Absolute, she's still on her beer. Huh? Waitress comes by, another Absolute. She's still drinking her beer. I said, do you want another beer? No, it's okay. Waitress comes by again. One more of those Absolutes, right? She sends the beer back. Can I have a iced tea? And I thought, oh, Long Island iced tea. My night just got better. She gets a regular iced tea and I'm perplexed. Another Absolute. I'm drinking the drink and I finally get the courage up to say to her, because we're on, this blind date. Are you not feeling well? She says, oh no, I feel fine. I noticed you sent the drink back. Did you not like the beer? She says, no, I was starting to feel it. You drank a half a beer. Should have been a warning sign, right? Nah, wasn't. I stayed with that lady for a year and a half. We moved in together. Yeah, started selling cars, moved in with this lady, and she came home one day, and things were really not going well. And she said, you need to move out. What? What are you talking about? She said, you drink too much. I said, you met me in a bar. I was drinking 4 fingers of Absolute. How did you not know this? She says, I don't want to live with someone that's, abuses himself like that. I think you have a problem. And of course, my ego kicked in. I don't like you. I don't want to be here. Blah, blah, blah. Stormed down the, here we go. Where do I go? Another Absolute. All right, now I can start drinking with nobody looking over my shoulder. Next day I show up for work for an 8:30 meeting, promptly at 9:15. I walk in, going to put my tie on, and the guy blocks the door. I said, what are you doing? I'm here for the meeting. Yeah, it started 45 minutes ago. Why don't you go home? Now, I'm the manager of this place with 23 people under me. He says, you might want to look at your life. Okay. So I go home and realize that this is not working for me. And I called this girl up and I said, I need help. First time I reached out for help. That's not easy to do. She just happened to have someone that was a friend that was in AA and said, he needs to go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. She said, you need to go to an AA meeting. I said, I don't have AAA. My car breaks, I just tow it. She goes, no, you need to go. You know what? I'll pick you up and I'll take you to an AA meeting. Okay. I'm getting back with this girl. She's picking me up. Brush my teeth real quick to get the Absolute out. Jump in the car and we go to this meeting. And it's a lot like this. There was 50-something people and there's couches and I sat in the couch and I was told, when you go to that meeting, it's your first meeting, when you go to that meeting, you don't have to do anything. They're going to ask if anybody's new. All you have to do is give them your name. That's all you have to do. And then try to listen. And I sat in this couch and they asked, is there anybody visiting from out of town? And this person beside me on the other side of the couch stood up and said, yeah, my name is blah, 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 and I'm an alcoholic visiting from wherever. I thought, okay. I stood up. My name's Scott, and I'm an alcoholic. I had no idea they're asking for visitors. I thought they were asking for anybody new. And it was the first time I said it, and the tears streamed down my face because I knew it was real. I knew I had a problem. I wasn't the typical alcoholic. I didn't lose everything. I had a car, had a place to live, had a watch. I was quickly made aware of that. And I drove a car to the meeting, and the old timer said, you didn't lose enough. You're not really an alcoholic. You're too young. Okay. And I sat there with tears in my eyes, and we left. And they gave me some numbers, and I think I threw them away. I said, I don't need that stuff. Fast forward, you can all imagine what happened. I didn't go back. Had to get back in this relationship. She said, you need to go to meetings. Went to meetings, listened. They said, don't drink. And even if you do, try not to. Come back tomorrow. Well, shit, people telling me to get out for years. Now someone's telling me to come back. I thought, okay, I can go to these places. They want me. They see the good in Scott. So I start going to the meetings, and I get this. I get the laughter and the camaraderie, and I see some of the faces, and, okay, sure there's some old people. No offense, guys. Sure there's some old people, and they're sitting there in judgment looking at us, but it's okay. And I said to myself, I can hang out here for a little bit. And I got this, they said, you got to work these steps. It's kind of a requirement. First they said, it's really a big deal you don't drink, but you want to work these steps, and you can't do it alone. Okay. They had the steps on a board, right up on the wall. And I started looking at the steps thinking, well, I already do that one, and I kind of do that anyway, and this God thing, I don't need that. But inventory, I'm in business. I know you got to take an inventory. And help others. Oh, shit, I can do this. But you can't do it alone, so you got to get a sponsor. I said, what's a sponsor? Well, a sponsor is a sober person offering a newcomer suggestions on recovery. SPONSOR. Sober person offering a newcomer suggestions on recovery. Okay. And I picked a guy that was just like me. He was just shorter, but had really great hair. Liked to womanize. Thought he had funny jokes. I had better jokes. But he was sober longer than me, and he'd worked through the steps. And he said, let's work through these steps. Okay. And I did everything you're not supposed to do. Showed up late, didn't pay attention, played with the girls in the room, the good stuff. I didn't look at the book, didn't want to know about the book. Didn't want to work the steps, but, I'd be in those stupid meetings that say, what step you on? Oh, okay. So I worked the steps with this guy, and we got to step 4, and I'm breezing through them because it's a long story, but I'll shorten it up. We got to step 4, and I went to his house and getting ready to do a 5th step, and I only wrote down like 5 things because I was half measuring the hell out of this thing. Wrote down 5 things, and they weren't really that bad. And he says, I'm going to tell you something about myself, and he told me that at 18 he went to prison and he was raped. And I thought, I'm not sitting with this guy. What am I doing in this room? And I told him these 4 or 5 things which were like nothing. And I felt no relief. And I got nothing from it. And I hung around a little bit, and the fellowship was great. And then it got boring. You people are boring. You don't want to do anything. Drink coffee, go to meetings. Drink coffee, go to meetings. This sucks. It's not fun. The newness wore off, and I know it makes me happy. 4 fingers are absolute. Made me happy. So I thought. Well, I got to tell you, if you ever heard the slogan, which we say it every once in a while, a mind full of AA and a belly full of beer doesn't work, it don't work. I'm out doing stuff and I'm thinking about you people and how you all banded together and how I've watched you cry at the tables and I've watched you pour your hearts out and I've watched you go through some stuff and not pick up, but come in and laugh a week later or whatever it is. I said, how do I get some of that? Go back to AA. So here I am. I went back to AA. I walked in the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous after going to a rehab. I was in this rehab, checked in voluntarily. My girlfriend at the time was kind enough to take me there because I insisted. She took me to this rehab, yep. She took me to this Willow Treatment Center in Naples, Florida, which they have pools and saunas and hot tubs and volleyball and weight rooms and, it's a treatment center. I went there and I thought, I can do this. What time's the hot tub open? Don't drink. Okay. Drink coffee. Got it. And you got to go to meetings while you're here. Okay. So I got there on a Friday night, 2:30 in the morning, out of my mind, telling jokes, all my best jokes. There's a whole new audience. I'm telling them all these crappy jokes that I think are great. Because Scott's back, man. I got my four fingers of absolute. I'm ready to go. And they said, your counselor will be here Monday morning. Her name is Hilda. Oh, great. I'm a sweet talker. I can tell Hilda how great things are. Says, well, Hilda's 6'4", 6'6", excuse me. She's 6'6", she's German, and her nickname is Hilda the Hun. Whoa. Okay, a challenge. So Saturday, I'm in the pool, and I'm drying out. And Sunday, yeah, this is great. I'm in the hot tub, going to a meeting, watching Smokey and the Bandit in the movie room, thinking, this is cool. Monday morning, here she comes. She said, you're the new guy. I said, how'd you know? I said, I'm Scott, I'm an alcoholic. She goes, Scott, when you're done, come see me. And they're doing their vitals and stuff. Okay. She walks me into her office, which I kid you not, it's a closet that's half this size, and it's got books everywhere. I don't know how anybody could need that many books. And it's got one chair. And she sits in the chair and she says, have a seat. There's no place to sit. She says, well, sit on the floor. Huh? Yeah, I'll just stand. She said, have a seat. So I sat down. She said, tell me about yourself. Well, you know, I've been in AA and I had this big job. You probably parked outside next to a brand new Honda. See, I'm the finance manager for the Honda store, so they give me a new car. So it's out there. That's my demo. I got this beautiful girl that I'm in a relationship with. We just bought a brand new house. As a matter of fact, they're delivering a hot tub this afternoon at 2. Do you think I can get out to make sure it gets set in the right place? This is all true. Just we'll talk a little more about that. And I says, you know, I was in the middle of putting together this. I bought this brand new grill, and it's like in pieces all over the ground because I couldn't put it together. Maybe I can get home and put that back together before they get the hot tub. So if I could get out of here like noon, that would be great. She said, do you know where you are? I said, absolutely. Naples, Florida. She goes, no. Do you know where you are? Trick question, right? I'm a smart guy. I'm at the Willow Treatment Center in Naples, Florida. She says, hold that thought. She gets up out of her chair. She goes over and she locks the door. There's no windows. The door is locked. She says, well, let me tell you something. You're in a mental institution. You've lost control of your life. Honda already picked up that car. That girlfriend that you had drop you off, I've already talked to her. She moved out of the house. They're not delivering a hot tub. And we're leaning the house to pay for this rehab. What? But I checked in voluntarily. You can't leave until I tell you so. Smack. Here comes reality. You know about it, the liquor's going to fix that. So now I'm feeling like the weight of the world is back on Scott. Tell me what I got to do. How do I get out of this jam that I put myself in? See, I said at the beginning, alcohol worked for me. Normally, that's what I would go to in situations like that, because it would just all kind of go away. Just kept piling up, but it went away. Eventually, they repoed the house, and I find a new girl, and I get a new job, but I couldn't do that. So now what? So I sit there with her, and we do step 1, 2, and 3 in the 20-something days I'm in there. And when I go out, she gives me this great line. You know, your chances of staying sober are very slim. They're drastically improved if when you leave here, you go to an AA meeting. Okay. My life's burning. I quit my job that I was making incredible money while I was in rehab. I knew I couldn't go back because that was a party. What do? My girlfriend, who thankfully did not leave me, picked me up. She took me to an AA meeting. We didn't pass go. We didn't go home. We didn't stop for gas. We went straight to an AA meeting. Walked into this meeting. We sat down on the couch side by side. And I looked at all these people around, and they were all kind of sharing. And I thought, well, we walked into a men's meeting, obviously. And this one guy started to share. He got up and said, my name is blah, blah, blah. And it was like Hilda had called him. Said, this is what you need to say to this guy. And he spoke right to my heart. And I thought, sponsor, got to get a sponsor. And he said, as he concluded, thank you for letting me share. I'm sorry, guys, I've got to run back to work. And he walked out the door. And here's when my higher power came into my life. It picked me up out of that couch. I don't know how I keep ending in couches. Picked me up out of a couch, and it walked me out the door, and I said, excuse me, I need help. would you be my sponsor? I said, I will. What are you willing to do? I said, I'll do anything. He goes, well, that's evident. I said, well, how do you mean? He goes, did you not know that that was a gay meeting? I said, what happened? He said, you walked in with a girl to a all-men gay meeting. I said, no idea. He said, you're going to be just fine. Okay, I got it. See, this guy upstairs that works in my life has a sense of humor. That's what I needed. Because if I ran into someone that was just like me, that did the same stuff as me, I don't know. Would it have worked? Maybe. But that guy and we were not alike. But he had something I wanted. He had something I needed. I didn't know I needed it. But I knew I needed to get some help from someone. So this guy enters my life and he takes me through the steps. He takes me back through the steps that I've already been through, 1 and 5. Because I told him, I've already done those. Matter of fact, I was just in rehab. We did 1, 2, 3. I don't need to do those anymore. No, we're going back to 1. Okay. Step 1, admitted I was powerless over alcohol, my life's unmanageable. 28 days ago, I got a great job, bought a new house. I'm on top of the world. I got a girl that loves me. I don't have that anymore. I lost my job. My girl's pissed. I got a house they're putting a lien on. What happened? Okay. Powerless over alcohol? If you say I am. Then he goes to the big book and it says, if you find yourself when you have one, you can't not have the next one. That's me. I used to think I was a problem drinker. I drank because I had problems. If you had the problems in your life that I had, you would drink too. Those problems were created because of my drinking, but I couldn't see that. So now the problem drinker was not a problem drinker. I drank alcoholically. Okay, I get it. Then we moved on to step 2, and he says, came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. Man, the insanity was running through everything that I had going on. I could see it. It was tangible. It was in front of me. Crazy. I thought it was normal, to this day I swear, I thought it was normal to get paid on Friday and be broke on Sunday and still have a bar tab. I thought that was normal, right? I thought it was normal to wake up or come to on a Saturday morning and go out and see if there's any dents in your cars. I thought that's what you do. I thought it was normal to hear other people tell you about the crazy stuff you done. What'd I do last night, man? Oh my God. It's insane. Insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Okay, how about knowing the result and doing it anyway? That's me. Caution to the wind. I know what's going to happen, but I'm in. That's the insanity of my life. So I moved on to step 3, made the decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood Him. Nope. Not doing that. I was raised Catholic. I'm a recovering Catholic. I had some tragedies that happened in my life at a young age and sober. And I thought, if there's a God, how can you let this stuff happen? Okay. But then He showed me God as I understand Him. Okay. What does that mean? I don't have to believe in your God. I don't have to believe in your God. I don't have to believe in the guy that they told me I had to believe in when I was younger. Okay. Then He said, believe that I believe. That only works for so long, folks. I'm here to tell you. That's great. Believe that I believe, but find them. Right? We seek. That's what we do. ABCs. God could and would if He was sought. So they said, God for you, Scott, can be a group of drunks. These people right here somehow have a life that you want, and they're staying sober. They've found it easier to make it through the day without picking up a drink, that you seem to pick up a drink over anything. Use them. Okay. Because I know when I'm in a jackpot, when this thing is running, I can pick up the phone and call Dave. And Dave's going to say, what's going on, Scott? We're going to chat for a few minutes, and I'm going to forget all about the squirrel cage, and I'm going to feel better. I can be walking into Lowe's with the weight of the world and everything on my mind and run into Wayne. And all of a sudden, my whole, poof, it just changes. My outlook changes. I don't know why it works, it just works. So fast forward to this sponsor that I have. I go to his house. Keep in mind, I met him at a all-men's gay meeting. I go to his house, and I walk up to his door to do my third step. And greeting me at his front door is a 6-foot-tall suit of armor. What the hell is this guy doing? Okay. I walk inside. He's got floral print everywhere. I'm 28 days out of rehab, right? He made that statement, but I didn't hear it. You're willing to do anything. You walked into a men's gay meeting. I didn't hear it. So I walked in there, still coming out of the fog, thinking, what? This guy doesn't decorate the way I do. And he's wearing a lot of floral prints. Might be something to this. And then he tells me, here's what we're going to do. The book's very specific on this. We're going to get on our knees and hold hands. Hold on a minute. We're going to do what? And we're going to say this prayer. And you're going to make a contract with your higher power that says you're going to invite him into your life and ask him to give you help and strength when you need it. Okay. It was the most uncomfortable I've ever been in sobriety. I'm on my knees with floral prints and other things that I won't bring up with a guy that's, whatever. And I'm holding his hands and we're saying this prayer, and I thought I was going to pass out or throw up. I did not feel any wind come through and, see a burning bush. I thought, that's over. Okay. I didn't get any relief. I didn't see a higher power. I didn't know what to do. So we stood up and he says, now we launch out vigorous action. You got to do this 4th step. Okay. Make a list. It's pretty specific. It's in the book. We did it right by the book. I made this list. And I am struggling to get names up. But I did. And I put down some institutions. And I put down some stuff I did. And I had this one. I had a great sponsor. He said, we always do it in pen. Therefore, Scott, you can't go back and erase the one that you don't want me to see. And I wrote this thing down. And right after it came out of my pen, I thought, nobody is ever going to see this or hear this. I'm going to start a new list. But I didn't. And we went to do this 5th step. And I pulled out this list. And he told me something that happened to him. And it wasn't he was raped in prison. It was something else. And I thought, okay. And he says, it's just you, me, and God in this room. And I'm still struggling with God, right? I think you guys are God at this point. This group of drunks, they're my God. Just me, you, and God in this room, and believe that I believe, and let's get this up. And I go through this thing, and I'd love to tell you that I felt so much better, and I floated out of there. I didn't. And he looked at me, and he says, is there anything you're holding back? Yeah, his name was Theo. I said, yeah, Theo, I got something that I can't tell you. Why not? I'm smart. I think I'm funny. I think I'm witty. Well, Theo, the statute of limitations doesn't run out on this quite yet, so I'm not prepared to tell you because I don't want to go to jail. And he says, well, let me make a promise to you that is in the big book, and I won't quote the big book, but I'll tell you what he promised me. He says, I promise you that if you don't get rid of that, you will drink someday. It will take you back out. You need to find someone to get rid of the secret. Go see a priest. Not happening. You got to find someone. Okay. So a spiritual retreat came up that weekend. And I went to this place called St. Leo's in Central Florida. And it's Benediction monks. And I met a Benediction monk. He said, you look like you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. I said, you know, I'm carrying this. He goes, oh, fifth step, I know all about it. Walk with me. And we cross this highway and we go into this grotto. And I thought, man, this is amazing. Wow. And I walk in there and this guy was Brother John. And Brother John says, Scott, tell me what you need to tell me. And I hemmed and hollered and I looked at my shoes and, you know, kicked around. And I said, Bob, bleh. And I had my head down and I couldn't look up. And he said, Scott, God forgave you years ago. It's time for you to forgive yourself. Okay. Went back home, Theo, hey, I did it. I didn't feel better, I felt worse. The shame and guilt was this high. I didn't want to drink, but I didn't want to go to meetings because I didn't want anybody to see this filth that was on me. But I went to meetings. We did step 6 and 7, worked on 8. Came time to do amends. And I was having some real trouble with, you know, I'm supposed to feel better. I'm supposed to feel better. I did what you guys said. I put in the work. I did this 5th step. Somebody knows all my dark secrets. Why don't I feel better? Yeah, believe that I believe. It only works for so long. You got to find this higher power. Well, I'm struggling. I told you I quit my job when I left rehab. I quit a 7-figure job to go work for nothing. Felt like nothing. It was still a pretty good living, but it wasn't enough to make me happier of what I thought. Mortgage was coming due. First mortgage payment. And my sponsor says to me, how you doing today? I said, I'm struggling. He goes, yeah, I know. I hear it in your voice. He goes, why don't you meet me for lunch? We go to this restaurant called Mickle Bob's. I show up, and we're sitting there, and he says, what is going on with you? You look like someone's died. I said, I got to tell you, my girlfriend / fiance is at home. I got to pay this bill for $500, $550, I think it was. And I don't have the money. So what do you got in your wallet? I got $50. And I get paid once a month, commission. So okay. I'll tell you what. You take that $50 and you go donate it to someone without them knowing, and I'll promise you, God's going to take care of you. Come on. You got to do it. Yeah, no. That doesn't sound right. That's not logical, right? I got $50. I'm telling you I need $500. You want me to give this away? I got a girl at home. $50 has to make it to Friday until I get my next $250 check to make it through to the next Friday. Doesn't make sense. And he says, God either is or he isn't. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Scott. You go give that $50 away. If it doesn't come back to you tenfold, I'll make it whole. I'll give you $250. What? I will write you a check for $250. Try it. Believe that I believe. No. Got to do it. I left Mickle Bob's. I drove up the street. There was a car wash. Outside the car wash, as the cars run through, 4 or 5 guys chamois it down. They had a tip bucket. I park on the side of the building. I creep up to that tip bucket. I put the $50 in. I'm walking back to the car, and I'm either going to throw up or pass out. And I am sweating, and I just made a mistake, and my heart's... I'm going back up to that tip bucket. Now they're all looking at me like, oh, I can't go do that. Can't go steal their chips. So I go back to work. And I call my sponsor. And I said, I just did that. It's a huge mistake. I don't know what did you make me do, you son of a... God, believe that I believe. Okay. Now I got to go home and face my girlfriend. Tell her I had no money. I gave away the last $50. I'm scared. I don't want to drink over it because I know what that gets me, because I'm smart enough to know the drink is only going to compound this. So I'm driving home and I'm thinking, how am I going to tell this girl that we're broke till Friday? And I don't know how we're going to make this payment. And I walked through the door and she said, hey, how was your day? It was great. She said, when you moved to Florida, did you bring any vehicles with you? And I said, yeah, I brought 3. Because you remember when you came to Florida, they had this impact fee where if you brought a car in, you had to pay an impact? I said, yeah. How many did you bring in? I said, well, 3. 2 cars and a motorcycle. She goes, well, for the cars, they give you back $250. And for the motorcycle, I think you get like $75. She goes, there's an envelope here, and I can see through the envelope, it looks like a check. Okay. She hands it to me, I open it up, I look at it, it's $550. $575. I thought, huh. Now, keep in mind, I'm still an alcoholic, new in sobriety. So the next day, I'm meeting Theo back at Mickle Bob's for ribs. I walk in. So how'd it go? Now, I'm not going to tell him, right? Because he's going to give me a check for $250. I'm no idiot. I'm going to walk away from this thing for, $725 for $50. He says, everything worked out, didn't it? And I said, what do you mean? Scott, what happened? And I went through the whole paying the tax, excise, blah, 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 getting the money back. I said, I got to ask, right? Did you talk to Lynn in the morning? She told you there was a check there on the counter. Is that why you did all this? He goes, no, man. I said, believe I believe. There's a higher power working in your life. Call them whatever you want. Higher power, creator of the universe, great outdoors, group of drunks. Just shorten it up. Call him God. I don't care what name you give him. There's a higher power that's working in your life, and he showed it today. Okay. So the door was cracked enough to me to say, something happened that I can coincide in a way, but it seemed like it was a really big thing, and now I can pay this bill, and I didn't know it was coming, and here we are. Okay. Let's work on this 9th step. Okay. There's a couple financial amends that I didn't want to make. There was some people I didn't want to see, some people that didn't want to see me. But I swallowed my pride, because again, the book tells me if I don't do this, I'm going to get drunk. And you've taught me to drink is to die. So somehow, it made it onto my 5th step that for whatever reason, I don't remember if I was drunk or not, I went to a bicycle store to drive this bicycle, and I drove away with it. I stole a bicycle. Okay. Part of the 5th step was I needed to go back, or part of the 9th step is I needed to go back and I make an amends for this. This is years ago. They're not going to remember me. It's not really on my mind, You got to do it. Okay. So I go to the bicycle store and I said, Scott, something happened. I'd like to speak to the owner. Wow. We're the new owners. Huh. Well, what about the old owners? Oh, we bought it 7 years ago. I said, well, this happened like 9 years ago. I'm good. What are you here for? Years ago, I test drove a bicycle and I never brought it back. And I'd like to make restitution for that. What kind of bicycle was it? Man, that was a bicycle. I don't know. Okay. He says, well, you don't owe us anything. You owe the old owners. I said, yeah, you don't understand. I have to do this. Okay. How can I make it up to you? He says, you're not making it up to me, but I understand what you're saying, and it seems like you're not going to take no for an answer. So what can I do? And he says, you see that little sign over there? Toys for Tots. We donate bicycles to children for Christmas. Yeah. Okay. Which bicycle? He says, well, they're $50. I said, can you put 2 of them over there and I'll pay for them? Yep, what's your name? Just Scott. I'm just a guy trying to do right. That was my amends. You couldn't script it. You can't write it. My higher power gave me the opportunity to help someone else I didn't even know I was helping. Gave me a chance to level the ledger, to try to beat down some of that shame and guilt that I have for all the bad things I did by doing something good for someone that's not going to know. Same thing with the tip, right? I made a tip they didn't know. I didn't know I was helping them, but it was helping me. Here I am buying bicycles for someone because I stole a bicycle, which still to this day I don't know how, and it's helping them. They're not going to know it was me, but it helped me. It's weird how that works. I don't know how it works. I just know it keeps happening. When I stay sober, this stuff keeps happening. It keeps showing up. And the longer that I'm sober, the more I get to see it. I believe that when you come into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, your eyes are closed to all the good stuff that's happened in your life, and all you can see is the bad stuff, all the negative stuff. That's what we focus on. That's what keeps us out there. That's what keeps us down. As we come in and we discard some of that stuff, our eyes start to open. They open a little bit more, and then all of a sudden they're wide open and we see them working in other people's lives. And all this good stuff starts happening around us because we're not the same people. I can be the same guy. Give me 4 fingers of absolute. I can be that guy. I know how to be that guy. I hate that guy. I want to be this guy. And this is how I do it. I show up in places like this that are uncomfortable. You know, I say I'm not a talker. It's tough to get up in front of people. My story is my story. You know, I use jokes, comedy, and humor when I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. But I'm an alcoholic, I know that. And I know that being uncomfortable and being in service helps me grow. See, when I'm comfortable, I don't grow. I get complacent. Things are good. Why do I want to mess this up? When I'm uncomfortable and there's pain, I start to grow. I start to look at my part in it. I start to look at why am I feeling like this? And I go through it. You people taught me to go through things rather than find a way around it. I don't need to run from this mess. I need to help clean it up. How do I do that? I show up. I suit up. I put my hand up. My hand is out for anybody. It says when I'll back up on that. I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, so move on to step 10. Step 10, I'm continuing to take a personal inventory, admit when I'm wrong. I do that on a daily basis. I don't write it out like some people do, but I know when it's wrong. You people help me find this moral compass again. You know, as a little boy, I had this feeling in my stomach when I did something wrong. I remember the first lie. It's horrible. Next one was easier. Next one was really easy. Next thing you know, I'm stealing. I had that thing in my stomach, that glass that just says, ooh, this is wrong, and you get that sweat on the back of your neck. I partied that shit away. I drank that away. When I came in here, you helped me find that again. Now when I do something wrong, I get the feeling. In the beginning, I had to wait till the end of the night to look and say, what did I do today? How can Scott be better today than he was yesterday? And what did I do that made me bad? Got to clean up that. I got to call Paul and let him know I'm sorry for what I said. Okay, I can do that. Today, when it happens, I can do it immediately. So by staying around a little bit and listening to you people and working with other people through the steps, I get to learn and I get to do this a little bit quicker. So I move on to step 11. I sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him. As we understood Him. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. It's right there. It tells me what to do. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. How do I do step 11? Praying only for, it's right there. It's pretty specific, right? Prayer and meditation. Prayer is asking. Meditation, I'm going to listen. I want to see what God tells Scott to do. He tells me to be a better person than I was yesterday. Stick my hand out. Get uncomfortable, Scott, because uncomfortable helps you grow. Helps you be better than you were. So, I do that. Then we move on to step 12. Haven't had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. I'm not going to have it unless I work through these steps. I'm going to carry the message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all my affairs. Look, I'm going to tell you this, and I can't say it with any more feeling or meaning than I'm about to say it. I don't have to be well to help someone. I don't have to have all this and all this knowledge, and I know the big book, you got to be on page 62, and you're on, I don't have to have that. But I have to help other people to get well. I've got to help you for me to feel better and be better. Sometimes it's just holding the door. Sometimes it's just shaking someone's hand. Sometimes it's just a smile. When I go inside and I hide inside this mind of mine, I'm dying. I need people. I need the fellowship. I need fellow alcoholics that say, we can do this together. You know, back in step 1, it said we admitted. Didn't say Scott admitted. We were powerless. Didn't say Scott was powerless. We are powerless. We admit it. I got to have you. And hopefully you'll have me. So, sobriety's been great. I met my wife in these rooms. I'm forever thankful for that. I have a life today that I dreamed of as a little boy. You know, of course I want to be a rock star and an astronaut and all that good stuff. That didn't come true. But I'm a pretty good guy. I want to do right. And I want to help people. Today I'm not a taker. I'm a giver. I don't need to see what I can get from you to make me feel better. I don't need to get over on someone to say, ha, I still got it. I don't need that. I'm not a hockey player. I'd like to say I'm a hockey player. I'm a dad. That's my daughter. I've been through stuff in sobriety that is horrifying. This little girl was in a car crash. She wasn't supposed to live for 15 minutes. She lived for 15 years, minimally conscious. Never said a word. Couldn't walk. We fed her through a tube. It was a living hell for my wife and I and our kids. You know who was there? You people. The accident happened. My sponsor and 6 other people were at the hospital waiting. I don't know how. God sent his angels. He came running. When she passed, we mourned, but we were happy because she was no longer suffering. See, when someone dies, the pain stays with us, not with them. Right? So a little piece of our heart goes with it. So in sobriety, I lost my dad. I lost my daughter 6 months later. I lost my mom a couple years ago. Every time it happened, you people were there to say, it's okay. We got you. I'm not the first person to lose a child. I'm not the first person to lose a parent. But I don't have to drink over it. I don't have to lie. I don't have to cheat. I don't have to be the Scott with the 4 fingers. I can be just Scott the alcoholic. Scott the dad. Scott the husband. That's it. This is all I ever wanted out of my life was friends that loved me. That's all I wanted. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in with the jocks. I didn't fit in with the burnouts. I looked for that. In school, I looked for it, right? Sure, I hung out with the burnouts thinking, all right, I'm fitting in. And they made fun of me because I was tall, skinny, and dorky. I know, hard to believe. But I was. But I was. So I'll end with this. I'm sorry I went over. I'll end with this. God never says no, right? God just doesn't say no to Scott. He either says yes, he says not right now, or hold on, I got something better. I've had a lot of hold-ons. Hold on, Scott, I got something better. May not be today, but it's coming. Stay with me. Thank you for letting me share and being part of your life today. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, not a talker, my foot. I'm still an alcoholic. My name's Lynn. We passed the basket as our 7 tradition states. We are fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. We do have some chips here. If anybody has 1 through 11 months and needs to pick one up, or a desired chip. If not, we don't have any annual birthdays because we did those on Sunday at Lunch Bunch. If you have a birthday coming up in the next weeks, please let Rick know so that we can make sure that we have a coin ready for you at the end of this month. Okay. Anonymity lies at the heart of our fellowship and assures our members that their recovery will be private. So once again, please respect the privacy of anyone you meet or see here tonight. I can say I was here. I cannot say you were here. Jimmy, would you please read the promises?
How do you follow that?
Walk up here.
With a smile on your face.